to come and talk about my experience. Basically, I don't really know but I'll just say that there's a lot of things that we take for granted in this world, and there's a lot of things that you don't realize aren't as easy as they seem until you're put in a situation where you have to go through them. And for me, that was giving birth to Azania. It was for me, like, I don't know, it was, so let me just start at the beginning of the story. So obviously, I was pregnant from, I think, last year, October, until this year, July. And when I had gone, so I'd been going to my clinic checkups every month to go make sure everything was okay, and everything was alright. And everything was fine until, I think, the last month before I was supposed to give birth. And the nurses started getting concerned because I developed gestational hypertension, which is basically like high blood pressure. And that can be very dangerous for baby. But they didn't really say it was that serious. They were just like, hey, just watch what you eat and try to keep calm and stay relaxed all the time. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I went home and I told my parents, and they were like, okay, just try not to get riled up about a lot of things. Because I used to get riled up a lot, especially near my dad, obviously get into it about a lot of things. And I don't know, I just have this thing in me that I can't let things go. So once something starts, I just want to carry on until it's solved. So that would happen a lot, where I would get stressed a lot. And then it came time when Azania's due date came, and it passed, and there was no signs of her coming. And then I went to hospital to go get induced. So when I got to hospital, they did some tests, they took my blood pressure and everything, and they were like, why are you even still at home? You have to have blood pressure, why are you even still at home? And then they admitted me, they said I couldn't go home because it was dangerous for the baby. So I stayed in hospital, I think from the Thursday afternoon, and they started inducing me on the Friday morning, which is basically they encouraged the baby to come. So they started me on the medication on the Friday morning. It was fine, everything was okay, until Friday evening, when I started experiencing complications, and Azania's heart rate started going all over the place. And they were starting to get concerned that she might not make it if I don't go and have an emergency C-section. So I was at Pretoria West Hospital, and they didn't have a doctor on staff that could do a C-section at 1 in the morning. So they had to pull an ambulance and transfer me to Galapong Hospital, which is where the doctors there explained to me that Azania had basically pooped in the amniotic fluid, which is basically inhaling it, and that was causing her to have heart palpitations. So they told me that basically if I didn't sign off on having an emergency C-section within the hour, then she might not make it. And for me, that was one of the scariest things in my life, because first of all, it was something that I just when you go with someone for the whole duration of a pregnancy, which is a very long time, and you grow a bond with someone, person that you're growing with. And for me, I was scared because I spent all this time getting used to the idea of someone else being there after this period that I was going through. And for me, the idea that she wasn't going to even be there afterwards was probably the scariest thing in my life, because it was like this love that you can't even explain. And when that love is being threatened to be taken away even before you have a chance to experience it in person, it's almost like, I describe it as being unfair. So I signed off on the C-section, and they basically told me that I was basically telling them that if anything goes wrong, if I die or if she dies, that they're not responsible. And it was just, for me, it was difficult because my family couldn't be there because of COVID. I was literally by myself. luckily, and I'm grateful for my mom and for my mentor because they prayed with me from the first day that I was admitted until Asanya was born into this earth. And honestly, I don't think I would have been as calm and as patient everything that was going on around me if it weren't for them reassuring me, calling me and praying with me and praying for me and praying for her to be delivered safely into the earth. And I go back to the first point that I said, that we take things for granted when we don't see them happening to people close to us and people or even ourselves. And that's one thing I took for granted, which was childbirth. I honestly thought it was just like it happened and you had a child afterwards. It wasn't like complicated, like nothing happened, nothing could go wrong. But when you're pregnant, you start to realize that there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that you don't think about before you're in the situation. And for me, I was so scared, and I was in hospital, and it just felt like all the problems kept coming and coming, like nothing would, it wouldn't stop. So I had the complications with the birth, I had the complications with the C-section, and then when she was on the earth, she developed this infection on her face, which is called patina melanosis, where she had like these bubbles on her face. And it was really scary for me because I was just like, why is all of this happening to me? Why is it all happening to her? She's an innocent soul. She just got here and all of these things are already happening to her. She hasn't even had a chance. So the doctors would tell me they were scared that she might have a blood infection and that she might be at risk of like having heart failure because of all of these things that were going on with her. And I was in hospital for over a week after she was born because there was just things that kept piling up. I had to be on medication and drips for high blood pressure. There was things that just were hindering me from going home, but I'm grateful because my father used to call me every single day. He would video call me, check on me, he would check on Azania, and my mom would call. Everyone was just super supportive. Even when they couldn't see me, they couldn't come to the hospital. I'm just grateful that God allowed me to go through this because I feel like it shaped the kind of mother that I'm going to be and I want to be. Because of everything that I went through with bringing her into this earth, I would never take for granted her life and would never take for granted the things that she has to go and do in the future. So I'm just grateful that God allowed me to go through this experience and allowed me to have the support system that I had in my family and in my siblings and in my parents and in my grandparents, that all the love that I received was never tainted or hindered by the fact that this happened before it was supposed to happen. So I'm grateful for the